Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going to put together a bouquet using artificial succulent plants. So I ordered this lot of succulents from Amazon. They all came in a box together. It was about, I think it was like $22. I'll put the link in the descriptions if you're interested. They are really nice and really realistic looking artificial succulent plants. So even if you didn't make a bouquet for them, but you just like succulents and you want to decorate your house with them, I would really recommend using these. So I started by prepping those, taking them out of the plastic wrap, separating them from each other. Some are rubber band together. I do have some myrtle that I showed briefly there already with me. And then I've got these dried orange slices that I actually made myself that I'm going to prep up as well. So to prep the succulents, it's a very heavy head on it. So I had to use about 3 of the 20 gauge wires. I used 3 of them together to grab that short stem that they have. And then I wrapped it around and covered it in a wax floral tape. The orange slices are very light, so I just used a regular medium gauge wire. And I covered that with the brown wax floral tape because it blended in better. A little bit of the wire was showing on the orange slices that I just didn't want it to stand out too much. So like I said, I did put about 3 to 4 wires on each head. So each head was very heavy. So using all these succulent flowers that you see in front of you made the bouquet pretty darn heavy too. Not talking like 1,000,000 pounds, but if you have to carry it for a very long time, it might be a chore to do so. Your arm will probably get tired. I know mine was getting tired hanging on to everything there, but I am just a weak person. So when I assembled it, I was on the struggle bus. I knew that I wanted to separate the textures, separate the colors, separate the sizes, but I wasn't quite sure what stood out the most as a focal flower. I really like that minty green, how it's lighter, and that bigger size of that large minty green succulent there. But I didn't want it to fight with the smaller succulents that had color on it, with the maroon and the orange and the yellow. So I tried to keep that minty green one along with those smaller, brighter, different colored succulents. Try to keep those more towards the middle front and then work everything around it. Leaving the bigger ones towards the top, smaller ones towards the bottom. And it did come with the succulent pearls, which was really nice. So I could drape those in the front to kind of give it a cascading look. It also gave it a nice movement, but it still kind of had that stiff plastic look to it. So by adding that myrtle, you'll see I'll just kind of put it along the outside of the bouquet here shortly. And then that will give it a little bit more movement throughout, give it a little bit of a natural flow, natural look to it. Always lots of fluffing, trying to keep everything where it should be. By adding the orange slices, which is another thing that I've always wanted to add into the bouquets, but I was happy to use them here because it broke up that kind of monotonous green color, how the whole bouquet kind of has like a green overtone to it. But by tucking in those orange slices, it still kept it looking natural, but it kind of broke up that color, gave it a little bit more interest in the bouquet there. So I just kind of worked those slices throughout, just trying to give it a pop of color here and there. And I chose to do a hand-tied. I just like doing hand-tied arrangements, but if you did have a floral bouquet, this would also work really nice in a floral cage. Like the plastic cages that you could put styrofoam into. It actually might work out a little bit better, and it might be lighter too, not having all of the wires there. So I'm working my artificial myrtle around the outside, just keeping that round dome shape, but letting the pearls drape down the front so it still has that kind of movement to it. Once that's done, I'm going to tie it off with a wire And I'll tie that wire super tight. Like I said, it was very heavy. I didn't want it breaking apart because if it was to fall apart, it would completely fall apart. Everything would just collapse. So I'm going to tighten that down nice and tight with some needle nose pliers there. And then I'll cover my mechanics with the wax floral tape. And I'll actually put a link in the descriptions to the wax floral tape too. That I purchased on Amazon. So you have both the succulent plants and the tape. And I did show that I was going to use some ribbon. I wasn't quite sure how to work it in, if I wanted to do like a big bow or streamers, but I chose to do just some little tufts of ribbon to go around the outside of the bouquet there, just to give it a little bit of sparkle, make it look a little bit more formal. But I think that burgundy color keeps it natural looking too, using that kind of netted material there. So I'm just going to make 3 of these tufts, tie it off with a medium gauge wire, and then cover my mechanics, of course, with the wax floral tape. I should have thought to add my ribbon before adding all the myrtle. That way I could hide my mechanics a little bit better. But one trick that you can do if you are in a situation like I am, where you can see everything underneath the bouquet, is you can take an artificial leaf, like a bigger size, like a hydrangea leaf, and just hot glue it underneath, and then that will hide all those mechanics. It'll also give a little bit more support to the bouquet, especially with flowers that have a heavier head on top there. So, but I'm just tucking in the little tufts of ribbon. You can add some streamers, give it a little bit more flow to it. And then I'll go ahead and, cut off the handle and cover everything with the wax floral tape so it's nice and safe for hands to hold. Oh yeah, and I also had this little bit of it's a wire that was wrapped to look like, almost like a honeysuckle. So I broke off some pieces of that wire, and I'm just draping it around the bouquet, just give it a little bit more of that natural feel to it. You can see a little closer here in the picture. But there's a succulent bouquet if you're interested in going that way with your wedding. Thank you so much for tuning in.